Ladies and gentlemen, there is a power within you that determines the course of your life. It's not fate, not luck, not even talent. It's something much closer, much simpler, something that either builds you up or tears you down. And that power is control. Control is not about restriction, it's about direction. It's about knowing when to hold back and when to push forward. Think about it. How many times has a careless word turned a simple situation into chaos? How often has a single moment of frustration led to regrets that lasted far longer? How many times has a rash decision with money created stress that could have been avoided? And how frequently do we let our own minds become our worst enemies, drowning us in doubt and negativity? Your mouth has the power to heal or harm. A word of encouragement can change a life, while a careless insult can break a heart. Wisdom isn't just about speaking, it's about knowing when to stay silent. Not every thought needs to be said, not every opinion needs to be voiced. The strongest people are those who master the art of choosing their words wisely. Your mood is a wild horse, but you are the rider. Emotions are real, they are powerful, but they should not be in control. You should be. Life will test you, it will frustrate you, it will push every button you have, but reacting without control is like throwing fuel on a fire. The ability to pause, to breathe, to choose your response instead of reacting impulsively, that is true strength. Money is a tool, not a master. It should work for you, not against you. Too often people spend to impress, to escape, to feel something, but money, if handled without wisdom, becomes a chain instead of a key. A moment of excitement shouldn't lead to months of stress. Every financial decision you make is either building your future or borrowing from it. And then there's the mind, your greatest asset or your worst enemy. It can be a battlefield of doubt, fear, and insecurity, or it can be a fortress of strength, resilience, and wisdom. You must train it, guard it, feed it with things that empower you, not things that drain you. Because what you allow to take root in your mind will eventually shape your reality. Control is not about making life boring, it's about making life better. It's about choosing words that build instead of break, keeping emotions in check so they don't control your actions, using money as a tool for freedom, and training your mind to work for you, not against you. So ask yourself, who is really in control? Your circumstances, your impulses, or you? Because the moment you decide to take control, the moment you commit to mastering your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, that is the moment you stop being a prisoner of life and start becoming the master of it. Words are not just sounds, they are forces. They shape relationships, carve opportunities, and define the way the world perceives you. Every word you speak either plants a seed for growth or lays a brick for destruction. How many moments of joy have been ruined by a reckless comment? How many bridges have burned because of words spoken in anger? How many times have we wished we could take something back, but the damage was already done? The truth is, once words leave your mouth, they no longer belong to you. They belong to the person who hears them. And in that moment, you lose control over how they are received. A single sentence can make someone feel invincible, or it can make them question their worth. The power of your voice isn't in its volume, it's in its impact. And when you master your words, you master influence. Some people think that speaking without a filter is a sign of strength, that saying whatever comes to mind proves confidence. But real strength is restraint. Real confidence is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Not every battle deserves a response. Not every argument is worth your energy. A wise person doesn't just speak, they observe, they listen, and then they choose their words with intention. Think about the moments in life when you felt the most inspired, the most valued. It was likely because someone chose their words wisely and spoke life into you. Now ask yourself, are you doing the same for others? Are your words lifting people up, or are they adding to the weight they already carry? Every day you have a choice. You can speak words that heal, words that inspire, words that encourage, or you can let anger, frustration, and carelessness turn your voice into a weapon. The greatest leaders, the most respected individuals, are not those who say the most, but those who speak with purpose. Before you speak, ask yourself, will this add value? Will this bring peace? Will this make a difference? If the answer is no, maybe silence is the better choice. Because control over your words isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about creating a life where what you say carries meaning, builds trust, and leaves a lasting impact. Emotions are powerful. They can lift you to the highest peaks of joy or drag you down into the deepest valleys of regret. But here's the truth. Your emotions should never be the ones in control. You should. Because the moment you let your mood dictate your actions, you give away your power. Think about it. How many times have you said something in anger that you later wished you could take back? How often have you made a decision in frustration only to regret it when the storm passed? How many relationships, opportunities, and moments of peace have been lost simply because emotions took over for a split second? Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Situations will frustrate you. That is not in your control. But what is in your control is how you respond. Strength is not in the loudest reaction. It's in the silent pause before you choose how to react. Anyone can explode in anger, but real power lies in restraint. Real wisdom is in mastering the ability to feel everything deeply, yet still respond with clarity and grace. Some people say, I can't control how I feel. That's true. Feelings come and go like waves in the ocean, but just because a wave rises doesn't mean you have to let it knock you over. You can choose whether to stand firm or let it sweep you away. You may not control the emotions that arise, but you absolutely control how you let them shape your words, your actions, and ultimately your life. Think of the moments when you've seen someone handle a difficult situation with calm and grace. Didn't it earn your respect? Didn't it show strength? Now, imagine if you could be that person, the one who stays composed when the world expects you to break, the one who chooses logic over impulse, wisdom over reaction. That kind of control doesn't just make you strong, it makes you unstoppable. Your mood is a visitor, it comes and goes, but your actions, they stay. So before you react, before you let frustration take the wheel, ask yourself, is this response worth the consequences? Is this momentary emotion worth the damage it might cause? Control your mood and you control the way your life unfolds. Let it control you and you become a prisoner of every passing storm. The choice is yours. Money is one of the greatest paradoxes of life. It has no life of its own, yet it controls so many. It is meant to be a tool, yet for too many it becomes a trap. It is supposed to work for you, yet people spend their entire lives working for it. The question is, who is in control? You or your money. Some people chase money endlessly, believing that the more they have, the happier they will be. Others spend recklessly, thinking that temporary pleasure is worth long-term struggle. And then there are those who live in fear of money, afraid to use it, afraid to take risks, letting it dictate their every decision. But true control isn't about hoarding or spending mindlessly. It's about using money with wisdom. Look around and you'll see people drowning in financial stress, not because they don't earn enough, but because they don't control what they have. The real problem isn't money, it's the lack of discipline. A single impulsive purchase can feel exciting for a moment, but lead to regret for months. A single bad financial decision can chain you to years of stress. But the opposite is also true. Small, disciplined choices can create a life of freedom and security. The world tries to convince you that success is about looking rich instead of being rich. Flashy cars, expensive clothes, and extravagant lifestyles may look impressive, but they don't define wealth. True wealth is peace of mind. It's knowing you're not living paycheck to paycheck. It's having the ability to make choices without fear, and it's knowing that your future is secure because of the decisions you make today. Money should never be your master. It should be your servant. It should work for you, grow for you, and bring you opportunities, not stress. And that starts with self-control. Do you really need that thing? Or do you just want it in the moment? Is this purchase going to add value to your life, or is it just filling a temporary void? Every rupee, every dollar, every coin that passes through your hands is a choice between freedom and struggle, between peace and stress. The secret isn't in making more money, it's in managing what you already have. It's in the discipline to say no today so you can say yes to bigger things tomorrow. It's in the patience to invest, to save, to think beyond the moment. Because real financial power doesn't come from how much you earn, it comes from how much control you have over it. And when you control your money, you control your future. The mind is the command center of your life. Every success, every failure, every triumph, and every downfall begins there. It is not the circumstances that define you, it is the way you think about them. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. It all depends on who's in control. How many battles have been lost before they even started, simply because someone doubted themselves? How many dreams have faded away, not because they were impossible, but because someone convinced themselves they weren't good enough? Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. What you believe, you become. What you focus on, you create. If you allow negativity, self-doubt, and fear to take over, then you are handing over the keys to your future without even putting up a fight. The problem is, most people let their minds run on autopilot. They let past failures define them, let society's opinions limit them, and let fear silence their ambition. But here's the truth. Your mind can either be trained to work for you or will work against you. And the difference between the two is control. A strong mind is not one that never experiences fear or doubt. It is one that doesn't let those emotions make decisions. It is the ability to recognize negative thoughts and refuse to give them power. It is the discipline to replace every "I can't" with "I will," every "it's too hard" with "I'll figure it out," and every "I'm not enough" with "I am more than capable." Because the reality is, the limits in your life are often the ones you place on yourself. Think of the greatest achievers in history. They weren't necessarily the smartest, the wealthiest, or the most talented. They were simply the ones who refused to let their minds talk them out of greatness. They silenced the doubt, ignored the fear, and trained themselves to think in a way that served them rather than sabotage them. Your mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of confidence, discipline, and positivity, you will grow strength, success, and resilience. But if you allow weeds of doubt, laziness, and negativity to take root, they will slowly choke out every opportunity you could have had. The choice is yours. Every day you decide what thoughts you allow to stay and which ones you let go. Control your mind and you control everything. You control your peace, your success, your happiness, and your future, because in the end, life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you believe you deserve. And that belief starts in your mind. Strength is not found in muscles or in words spoken loudly. It is found in self-control, the ability to master yourself, to rise above impulses, to choose discipline over desire. That is the mark of true power. The strongest people are not the ones who act on every emotion, spend on every temptation, or speak without thought. The strongest are the ones who know when to hold back, when to walk away, and when to take control of their own impulses before they take control of them. In a world that glorifies instant gratification, where people chase momentary pleasures without considering long-term consequences, self-control is a rare and priceless trait. Anyone can give in to emotions, blurt out reckless words, overspend for temporary joy, or let their mind wander into negativity, but real power lies in restraint. It's in the pause before reacting, the silence before speaking, the patience before spending, and the discipline before giving in to doubt. Think about the people you respect the most. Are they the ones who lose their temper easily, who waste their resources without thought, who let their emotions control them? Or are they the ones who remain steady under pressure, who make wise decisions even when tempted by distractions, who choose wisdom over impulse? The people who inspire us are those who have mastered themselves, because self-mastery is the highest form of power. Imagine if every time you were about to say something harsh, you took a breath and chose words that built instead of destroyed. Imagine if every time frustration rose, you controlled your reaction and handled the situation with wisdom instead of regret. Imagine if every time you were tempted to waste money, you reminded yourself of your bigger goals and chose long-term success over short-term pleasure. Imagine if every time self-doubt tried to creep into your mind, you silenced it with confidence instead of surrendering to it. Self-betrayal is not about suppressing who you are, it's about refining who you are. It's about being intentional with your words, your emotions, your resources, and your thoughts, because the truth is, life is not decided by the big moments. It is shaped by the small decisions you make every single day. The ability to master those decisions is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. When you control yourself, nothing else can control you. No situation, no person, no temptation, no failure. You become unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniably powerful. And when you reach that level of control, life no longer happens to you. You create the life you want. Every action you take creates a ripple effect in your life. A single word, a single reaction, a single financial decision, a single thought, each one has the power to shape your future in ways you may not see immediately. And yet, too often people act on impulse, reacting without thinking, speaking without considering, spending without planning, and doubting without questioning. But true wisdom, true strength comes from the ability to pause before you act. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment, only to regret it later? How many situations could have been different if you had just taken a deep breath before responding? How many financial burdens could have been avoided if you had paused before making an impulsive decision? How many times has a negative thought taken root simply because you didn't challenge it before allowing it to define you? The pause is where power lives. It is in that tiny space between impulse and action where your entire life can change. Most people live as if they are at the mercy of their emotions and circumstances, reacting without control. But the strongest, the most successful, the most peaceful individuals are those who have trained themselves to pause before they act. That pause gives you clarity. It stops you from speaking words that can't be taken back. It prevents you from making choices you'll later regret. It allows you to shift your mindset before you spiral into negativity. It helps you realign your actions with your values, ensuring that you're moving toward the life you actually want, not just reacting to whatever moment you find yourself in. The world tells you to act fast, to speak your mind, to chase the moment, but the world also glorifies regret, stress, and instability, you don't have to follow that path. You can choose to master yourself. You can choose to pause before you let emotions dictate your behavior. You can choose to think before you spend. You can choose to reflect before you let a negative thought take control. You can choose to live with intention rather than regret. Greatness isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. And when you take control of the moments between impulse and action, you take control of your future. Because it is in that pause and that breath before the decision that your true power is found. Life is not something that just happens to you. It is something you create moment by moment, choice by choice. Too many people live as if they are passengers in their own story, blaming circumstances, luck, or other people for where they are. But the truth is, your life is not controlled by outside forces. It is controlled by you. The way you speak, the way you handle emotions, the way you manage your finances, and the way you train your mind are all choices that shape your reality. The moment you take full responsibility for these things, you take full control of your future. Your words have the power to build or destroy. Your emotions can push you forward or pull you back. Your financial habits can either trap you in struggle or set you free. Your thoughts can make you unstoppable or keep you chained to doubt. The difference between success and failure, peace and chaos, strength and weakness is not what happens to you, it's how you choose to respond. Some people spend their lives waiting for the perfect conditions to take control, telling themselves, I'll be happy when things change. But things don't change. You change. You change your mindset, your habits, your reactions, and your discipline, and in doing so, you change your life. Because no one else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to manage your words, your emotions, your money, or your mind. That is your responsibility. That is your power. You don't need permission to take control. You don't need a perfect past, unlimited resources, or ideal circumstances. All you need is the decision to stop letting life happen to you and start shaping it with intention. Every day, every moment, you have a choice to react or to respond, to spend or to invest, to doubt or to believe, to let your emotions lead or to lead your emotions. And in that choice, you either give away your power or claim it fully. Control your words, and you will build trust. Control your mood, and you will build peace. Control your money, and you will build freedom. Control your mind, and you will build an unshakable life. Because in the end, it all comes down to one truth. You are in charge. And the moment you own that, the moment you stop waiting and start leading, is the moment your life truly begins. Life is not about what happens to you, it's about how you choose to respond. Every word you speak, every emotion you allow to take over, every financial decision you make, and every thought you entertain shapes the life you live. The question is, are you in control or are you being controlled? Because the difference between a life of chaos and a life of purpose is not luck, fate, or external circumstances. It is discipline. It is self-mastery. It is the unwavering decision to take responsibility for yourself, your actions, and your future. Your mouth can either build or destroy. The choice is yours. Speak with intention because your words leave an imprint on the world. Your mood can either be a force for growth or a weapon of destruction. Master it or it will master you. Your money can either be a tool for freedom or a source of endless stress. Use it wisely or it will use you. Your mind can either push you forward or keep you trapped. Train it to be your greatest asset, not your biggest enemy. The reality is, nothing changes until you decide to change. No amount of inspiration, motivation, or wisdom can alter your life unless you take action. Control is not something that happens overnight. It is a daily practice, a conscious effort to choose discipline over impulse, wisdom over reaction, and patience over short-term satisfaction. It is the moment-to-moment awareness that your future is being shaped right now in the choices you are making today. Some will continue to let life dictate their path, reacting to whatever comes their way, blaming circumstances, emotions, and outside forces for where they are. But those who rise, those who truly create something extraordinary, are the ones who step into control. They don't wait for change, they become the change. They don't hope for better conditions, they create them. They don't let their words, moods, money, or mind run wild, they master them, and in doing so, they master their destiny. Everything you want, success, peace, freedom, fulfillment, is on the other side of control, and that control is already within you. The only question left is, will you claim it?